Morning, fifth grade. We're ready for math lesson 156. Going to start off with our concept cards this morning, so let's get started. 1 year equals about 52 weeks. Leap year equals 366 days. Decade equals 10 years. Score equals 20 years. Whoops. Going over place value again, just say the places with me. Ones place, tens, hundreds, 1,000, 10,000, 100,000, 1 million. 1 pint equals how many fluid ounces? 16. 1 cup equals how many fluid ounces? 8. 1 tablespoon equals how many teaspoons? 3. 1 pint equals how many cups? 2. 1 gallon equals 4 quarts. 1 quart equals 2 pints. 1 decameter equals 10 meters. 1 hectometer equals 100 meters. 1 kilometer equals 1,000 meters. 1 meter equals 1,000 millimeters. 1 meter equals 100 centimeters. 1 meter equals 10 decimeters. 1 mile equals 1,760 yards. 1 mile equals 5,280 feet. 1 ton equals 2,000 pounds. 1 pound equals 16 ounces. 1 bushel equals 4 pecks. 1 peck equals 8 quarts. Deci means 1/10 centa. 100th, milli, 1,000th, kilo, 1,000, hecto, 100, deca, 10. 1 foot equals 12 inches. Now, I obviously can't hear you, but keep saying the answers. That's the best way to learn them. For sure, think them in your head, but it'd be even better just to say them. 1 yard equals 3 feet. 1 minute equals 60 seconds. 1 hour equals 60 minutes. 1 day equals 24 hours. 1 week equals 7 days. 1 year equals 365 days. 1 year equals 12 months. You know these. 1 century equals 100 years. 1 millennium equals 1,000 years. 1 acre equals how many square feet? 43,560. 1 square mile equals how many acres? 640. 1 square yard equals how many square feet? 9. 1 square foot equals how many square inches? 144. What's the boiling point of water Fahrenheit? 212 degrees. Boiling point of water Celsius? 100 degrees. Freezing point of water Celsius? 0 degrees. Normal body temperature Celsius? 37 degrees. Normal body temperature Fahrenheit? 98.6 degrees. Freezing point of water Fahrenheit? 32 degrees. Reduce these to the lowest terms. 3/5. 1/3. 1/5. 2/5. 2/3. 1/2. and 1/4. We're going to stop with that. In our lesson today, we're talking about division with rounding off. So yesterday we talked about, or recently, anyway, the last day or the day before, we talked about how we can annex zeros in order so that we do not have a remainder. Now today we're talking about division with rounding off. Now go ahead and look at these numbers here. I have some decimals. Let's just go ahead and round them. Let's round this to the nearest tenth and these two to the nearest hundredths. So this would be the nearest tenth. This is our determining digit. This is the place we're rounding. So this is a 4, which means we're going to round this to 5 tenths. So we simply drop our number here after we rounded, because if we would put a 0 here, that would not make any difference. Zeros at the end of the decimal don't make any difference in the value. Now, let's round this number. Let's see, I guess we put the arrow to the number we're rounding, and this is our determining digit. So we're going to round this up to 11 because this is a 5, and we rounded to the hundredths place, so we dropped our 5. Here we're rounding our 9, and 5 is our determining digit. So we have, this is going to change this to 90, and we're going to drop our 5. So sometimes when we divide, our problem comes out even. When it does not come out even, we can write the remainder as a fraction. But what we're doing here today is learning another way to deal with our problem so that when it does not come out even. What we can do is we can write a decimal point after our whole number, as we've learned about recently, and we can add as many zeros there as we want to. Okay? So what we're going to do here is, instead of adding zeros until the answer comes out evenly, until it terminates, we're just going to round until we have enough numbers to round our answer to the nearest hundredths place. So if we round to the nearest hundredth place, how many decimal places do we need? We need 3, right? We need a thousandths place to round to the nearest hundredth place. Like this, for example, to round our hundredths place, we needed to see our thousandths place number. So we're going to do this problem long enough that all we need to do is round it to the nearest hundredth. So let's get started. We'll take 3 into 5, which is 1. I'm going to subtract 3. We have 26. So let's divide here. 3 goes into 26 8 times. So 8 times 3 is 24. We are left with 2. Now here's where we annex a 0. So we annex this 0 and bring it down. We can do that as many times as we want, as long as it's after a decimal point. It does not change the value. So 20 divided by 3 is, let's do 6 here. 6 times 3 is 18. We're going to annex another 0, divide again, annex another 0, and divide again. Now we need to put our decimal point in our quotient the same place it is in our dividend, and now we have a thousandth place, so we can round to the nearest hundredth place. We are rounding our hundredth place. This is our determining digit, which tells us that 18.67 or 18 and 67 hundredths is our answer. So we don't have to keep on dividing. We just divide long enough that we can round to the place that we want to round to. And we rounded to the nearest hundredth place. And because this is a 6, we made this 6 a 7. Okay, these problems are running into each other, so let me get rid of this one. Let's try this again. Let's just divide long enough to round this problem to the nearest tenths place. So we'll take 19 into 40. Let's try 2 here. 19 times 2 is 18, and we have 3. Subtract 38 here, and we are left with 2. Bring down our 3. 19 goes into 23 one time. Subtract. Now here is where we're going to put a decimal point right after a whole number and annex a 0. We can do that without changing the value. As long as we just add zeros here, we're fine. We can add as many as we want to. So bring down the 0 and divide 2 times here. 19 times 2 again is 38. And let's put our decimal point in our quotient so we see what we're working with. Our decimal point, remember, it needs to go right above where the decimal point is in the dividend. So right here. Now we want to round to the 10th place, so we need to have a 100th place so that we can round to the 10th place. Annex a 0 and bring it down. 19 goes into 20 one time. Multiply and subtract. Now we can round. We want to round to the nearest 10th place. So we are rounding this number. 1 is our determining digit. Because it's less than 5, we're going to keep this a 2 and get rid of this. So then we have 21 and 2 tenths. 21 and 2 tenths is our final answer. Okay? So often our division problems will not terminate, no matter how many zeros are annexed. So divide to one more decimal place, then the place that you want to round, and then round your answer. If you want to find the quotient to the nearest 10th, divide to the 100th place and then round off. If you want to find the quotient to the nearest hundredths, then divide to the 1000th place and then round off. Work your lesson carefully. Let me know if you have any questions, and I will see you in language class.